Dr. Comfort, hi. How's it
I
going?
will. How you doing?
Good, good. We're just getting warmed up, letting everyone know about your new book, Performance Assessment.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks for that.
Yeah, of course. So I think a lot of our coaches want to know, what is the most effective way to assess athlete power development, lower limb power development?
Okay, so for power development, it all depends on what you actually want to get out of it. If you're assessing power during different exercises, weightlifting exercises, etc., the best option is really to use a force platform and use a forward dynamics approach to integrate the force time data to calculate acceleration and velocity, and therefore you can calculate power output. But most people will use a counter movement jump to assess power output, but power is actually a really poor measurement to use from most, or poor variable to use from most jump tests. Now that might sound a bit strange because it's reported in the majority of studies, and I've no doubt reported it in some of my studies in the past, but you can achieve the same power output from completely different jump strategies. So it is possible to actually achieve the same power output with a really low force, developed over a longer duration, so a longer movement time, or to develop the same power output with a really short movement time, but a really high force. So just by adopting a completely different jumping strategy during something like a counter movement jump, you can end up with exactly the same power output. But more importantly, you can end up with a completely different jump height. And for most athletes, jump height is the more important metric, because that's what's going to determine whether they have a better or worse performance than their competitors.
Okay, so you're saying that power output might not be the best assessment metric because it can be misleading, basically?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because, as I said, you can use different strategies during your jump performance to get the same power output, or you can use similar strategies and you either get you can get the same jump height and the same power output from totally different strategies. So what we really need to do is identify the strategy that an athlete is using to achieve that power. If power is constant, you would assume that there's no neuromuscular fatigue, there's no adaptation. But if the athlete is now going through a shorter movement time and still generating the same power output, we've got an improvement in their performance. The same as if their jump height is constant. If somebody's got a 50-centimeter vertical jump, but they've achieved that over half the movement time, you've actually got a positive adaptation, even though the overall output, the gross metric of jump height, is now the same. Okay.
So if I'm a strength coach and I've got limited resources, what's the easiest way? You're saying jump height's probably the easiest way to assess, power and athlete, or not power, but vertical jump improvement. What would be sort of the easy, medium, hard? So if I want to just implement this tomorrow, what would be the easiest way to do that? And then if I wanted to get a little bit more in depth, what's sort of the next steps that I can start taking and assessing?
Okay, so what you really need is jump height has the same issues as assessing power output. That, as I said, you can have the same jump height, but a shorter or longer movement time. A shorter movement time being a positive adaptation, a longer movement time being negative, or an indicator that you're fatigued if it's taken you a longer duration to jump the same height. And that would be the same if you're just using a gross measurement like power. Ideally, and most people might not have this available, you need a force platform of some description. Although there are a lot of other force platforms on the market now which are more affordable,
right,
from anything from around about £1,000 or $1,200 to $1,500 for some relatively cheap force platforms, up to you can go up to £30,000 or whatever that converts to in dollars, probably $35,000 to $40,000, which is ridiculously expensive. But if you look at some of the manufacturers on the market, so ForceDex, Hawkin Dynamics, they are fully automated systems that are far more cost effective. And what you really need to look at, if you can afford those, is movement time and jump height together. So how long did it take them to create that jump height? So what you're looking at is reactive strength index modified, or flight time contraction time ratios, which is built into a lot of those sort of commercially available force platform systems and their software. The problem is, if you don't have that, if you've only got a jump mat or some optoelectric system to assess jump height, you're only going to get jump height from flight time. It won't give you the movement time because you're in contact with the force platform, the jump mat the entire time.
Right. So if a coach can't afford a jump platform, for example, what is the best sort of assessment tool that they can use in their programs?
Your other option then, so you can still get sort of contact time and flight time to give you reactive strength index from a drop jump, is actually just doing a drop jump with some form of optoelectric system or a jump mat. But what you have to be aware of is if you set a 12-inch box, a 30-centimeter box, and you ask your athlete to drop off that, they very rarely drop off 30 centimeters. They'll step down part of the way or they jump off it. So unfortunately, you're not always comparing like with like, but if you've only got a jump mat system, which gives you contact time and flight time, that's probably the next best option. But you have to be very, very cautious in interpreting that data, observing the athlete and making sure that they really are dropping from that height and not stepping down from the box.
Got it. Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Comfort, for joining us today. We're just going to try to keep it short.
No problem.
It's great having you on here.
Thank you.
So that was Dr. Paul Comfort, University of Salford professor, leads the MSc program over there. Make sure to check out his new book, Performance Assessment in Strength and Conditioning. And a special thanks to PowerLift Sports Science. So if you don't follow them on Twitter, go ahead and follow them for the latest strength and conditioning news and research. I'm Will Zacher with CoachMePlus Sports Science Minute. Thanks and have a great day.